Hello everyone, this is going to be my favourite films video. I was tagged by Antique Lens to do this, so if you're tired about me talking about films all the time, then, go and blame her because it's her fault. Um, I've picked 10 films, not necessarily my 10 favourite films, but they are 10 films that I love. I try to go for a bit more of a wide range of films, so they're, try to pick films of different genres and from different countries, just to give a bit more of a wide-ranging perspective on film in general. Although saying that, most of these films do have at least a modicum of sickening violence in them, so I don't know how different they're going to be. Um, I'm also going to split my list into two parts, mainly because after I stop waffling at the beginning, it's going to be less than 1 minute per film, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. It's like asking Dick Cheney not to talk about torture. It's impossible. But I'll try to keep the waffling to a minimum. I promise. Um, I do have quite high standards when it comes to films. Really, I try to rate all the films that I've seen on IMDb just to try and keep a number of, so I know how many films I've seen, and if I forget one, I can see and I can go back and see if I've seen it or not and what I thought of it. I've seen about close to 1,300 films, I think, and of those 1,300 I've seen, I've only rated 11 like 10 out of 10. So a film doesn't have well, let me start again. A film has to be good, but it has to be so much more than that for it to get a 10 from me. It has to not just be a great film. It just has to have a special quality that just separates it from all other films of its genre. And that's why for me, I will not rate a film at 10 out of 10 unless it's something really really special. Saying that, the first film I'm going to talk about is one of the films that I have rated 10 out of 10. One of my personal favorite film of all time, The Matrix. I'm just going to come out and say, I love Keanu Reeves. I consider myself a big film fan, and I probably have, if you're a film fan watching this, you're probably thinking, oh, you Philistine, why don't you like the works of Laurence Olivier, or the work of Pacino in the 70s or something? I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's like a blind spot I have. I loved him ever since I first saw him in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and I've just had a soft spot for him ever since. I love him. He's the only actor I can think of that I would watch whatever he is in, just because he's in it. I watched the Lake House with him and Sandra Bullock in it just because he was in it. That's the kind of level that my obsession goes to when Keanu Reeves is concerned. I was saying that this is about as close to perfection as I've ever seen in a film. It came along just at the right time, really. The internet was at its peak. Technology was no longer the domain, for nerds and geeks in their bedrooms. Although I'm saying this in my bedroom, so that's rather ironic. But technology was becoming more cool, more mainstream, and this sort of really took advantage of this by, sort of intersecting and the new technology of the day, like the phones and stuff, with these incredibly stylish characters. It's just a rip-roaring action film, fast-paced, just amazing choreography with the fight scenes, special effects like nothing anyone had ever seen before, and really set the bar for a new kind of sort of science fiction action film. And it has intelligence as well. It's a pity that the Wachowskis messed it up with with all the pretension and the pomposity of Reloaded and Revolutions. But this try and watch this as a standalone film, and it's one of those rare things, an action movie with intelligence. It doesn't go too much into detail, but then you could do that yourself. And there's many books, and you could talk for hours just about this film and what it means and the multiple layers of it. The second film I want to talk about is The Thing. Probably one of the best blind buys I bought on DVD. I bought it on DVD because I heard it was good, and found out it was not only good, it was fucking fantastic. You have John Carpenter, who I love as a director anyway. You got music by Ennio Morricone, who is it's probably his best soundtrack outside of the Western films that he's probably best known for. Um, Even the music at the beginning, it sounds like somebody is the thing is stalking the people in Antarctica. You know, it sounds as if something's creeping up on you, and it just instills terror in you. It's great. It's set in Antarctica, so you've got it's mostly dark, and you've got the weather, and this all sort of contributes to the horror of the story. It's set in this sort of a scientific research station, and there's a lot of small rooms and narrow corridors, so it gives a wonderful sort of claustrophobic feeling. And one of the things I like about it as well, it's got this real sort of downbeat, depressing ending. I'm glad that John Carpenter kept it in, because film studios typically try to have sort of happy endings onto film, so it makes the cinema goer feel better. But they kept the downbeat ending, and it really works in the film's favor. I don't think it would have been as good if it was a happy ending. Next film, Aliens. I love Aliens. Sigourney Weaver, one of my favorite actresses, and Ripley is just one of the most badass action characters ever. It really kind of depends on what kind of film you like. What kind of films you like depends on which alien film you like. If you like more of a horror feel in your films, then you probably like the first one. I like action, and so I prefer Aliens. Jim Cameron, fantastic director, directed this and the first two Terminators. We'll forget about the third and the fourth one. It's just all out action, just incredibly fast paced. It's tense. It's exciting, and the fight at the end is just absolutely incredible. Ripley with the huge mechanical, I don't know, bulldozer thing. You could read so much into that as well. With Ripley being the mother figure to Newt, and the alien mother. I mean, so much to look into these films if you get the chance. Next film is Spirited Away. This is by a company called Studio Ghibli, who are a well-known Japanese animation company, known for making incredibly sort of fantastical films. This is directed by perhaps the best-known director that works for Studio Ghibli, named Hayao Miyazaki. Really is, in my opinion, one of the best directors working today. This won the not the best foreign film, I think, in 2001. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. How he does these films is absolutely beyond me. I mean, he must be in his 60s or something, yet he still has this incredibly vivid imagination. How he can create such beautiful worlds and such different characters, and yet so lovable and so likable too. I mean, I don't know. I have to commend it to him. I'm just glad that I can enjoy his talents. And the films, they create such this sort of such different universes for the different films. None of them are the same, and they just draw you in. Within 5 minutes, you're in that universe, and you feel so much for the characters already, and that's a true talent for a filmmaker to have. The last film I'm going to talk about here is Battle Royale. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this. Directed by a Japanese director called Kinji Fukasaku. The use of classical music is something that I especially love about this film, especially at the beginning, where they're talking about the fall of Japanese society and the setting up of the Millennium. Oh God, let's see if I can remember this. The Millennium Educational Reform Act, I think it's called, otherwise known as the Battle Royale Act, and it has I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but Dies Irae by Verdi, and it just complements the film so fantastically, and it has Air by Bach and other classical works, and it just really sort of complements the violence. You got the gentleness of the classical music, and then you've got the sort of the violence of these school kids, going on a free for all to try and be the only one alive. It's a very original idea, to have all these kids on this island and basically have a free for all, as I said. there's not much story, but then that's not the point of this film. It's just just lots of violence, trying to show what would happen to these kids if they were put into this sort of situation by the elders of the society. And it says a lot about the Japanese culture as well. And another thing that you could read into these films. I seem to pick these films where you can really sort of dig deep and pick into them and find sort of lots of different layers. I never noticed that before. At least not with some of these anyway. Okay, I'm sorry. I said I would try and keep the waffling down to a minimum. That will be the first part. Part 2 will be coming up soon. Stay tuned. I got some more cool films, in my opinion, to talk about. Cheerio.